Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers. In this video, we are going to be covering two different headphones, the Shokz OpenFit 2s and the Shokz OpenFit 2 Plus. Let's see what we all thought. The Shokz OpenFit 2 and OpenFit 2 Plus are open-ear wireless earbuds designed for general use and fitness activities, especially when you need situational awareness. The updated designs see a number of improvements on the original OpenFit, including better sound, an improved fit, battery life, and, most importantly, a physical button to control the music and calls. The key features across both models are 11 hours listening time with a single charge, 48 hours charge with the case, Bluetooth 5.4, a 10-minute quick charge for 2 hours of listening time, IP55 water resistance, multi-point pairing, and 2 AI-powered microphones. In the OpenFit 2 Plus, you'll also get wireless charging, audio Dolby sound, and 4 AI-powered microphones. The Shokz OpenFit 2 costs £169 in the UK and $179.95 in the US. The Shokz OpenFit 2 Plus will cost £179 in the UK and $199.95 in the US.
So it comes to the fit of the Shokz OpenFit 2 and OpenFit 2 Plus. It's been really good for me for running and general use and other types of workout as well. I also got on really well with the original Shokz OpenFit, which I know did come loose for some other people on the team and other people in general when running, and maybe that will still be the case with the OpenFit 2, but I had no problems at all on the run. I've used them for lots of different runs, indoor, outdoors, very sweaty, very hard, and they've stayed reliably in place for me, also during other workouts and general use as well. The fit's also quite comfortable. They hook over the ear without putting any pressure on it really, so I was able to wear them for long periods, after runs as well, and I've also been happy to wear them on runs around glasses, hats, other things like that, so they don't get in the way too much or take up too much space. All around, I've got no real faults on the fit. I know this will probably be a slightly personal thing with ear shape and all that, but they were completely secure for me for running, and I really enjoyed how they felt on the ear.
So I've used the OpenFit 2 and the OpenFit 2 Plus for a bunch of runs. I've done some on the trails with a bit more kind of heavy landing. I've done a bit of time on the treadmill, which was very, very sweaty and hot. I've done some easier road runs as well. And for me, the OpenFit 2 and the 2 Plus, from a fit perspective, sit comfortably on the ear. They are a shade heavier than the OpenFit and the OpenFit Air, and I do still get a bit of flapping on one ear. It's so weird, but I've kind of got two different shaped ears, and both of these models and the old models flap about a bit when I'm kind of on the right ear. I don't know why it is, just a different ear shape. So when I'm moving at pace or battering down trails or being sort of boundy, I kind of feel them wobbling a bit more. I had the same with the old OpenFit Air and the OpenFit. But despite that, generally speaking, the fit is okay on both of these sets. They hook over the ears easily without any unwanted pressure. There's a really silky, soft silicone coating that sits happily against the skin. It's really nice to fiddle with as well. Overall, they're largely comfy to wear even on longer runs. I did one run that was up to 90 minutes. It was fine. I also had them on for long periods when I was wearing them in the office. I listened to podcasts in the car on a long journey as well. Everything was good from a comfort point of view. No complaints there, apart from that little bit of wobbling.
So in terms of fit, there's a couple of things that Shokz has done here that it says improve things on the fit and comfort side of things. So it's introduced a new version of its kind of silicone material that it says offers more comfort. It's a little bit softer when you are wearing them. There's also slight refinement in terms of the ear hook design to improve that overall fit. And fit is something that I had a little bit of an issue with on the first OpenFit. I think mainly it didn't fall out, but it did feel like it moved around a little bit. Now, oddly, I've been using both of these earbuds, and I have found I've had a really good fit with the Shokz OpenFit 2. Slightly similar experience I had with the OpenFit with the OpenFit 2 Plus. Now, I'm not sure what that really is about or to do with, but that is something I have noticed in my time with them. From a comfort point of view, I didn't find it a massive issue with the comfort of the OpenFit, and I've used these earbuds, both of them, for kind of hour-long runs, use them for kind of indoor cycling, general kind of gym work, and they've been absolutely fine from a comfort point of view, so that's not something that I've really been concerned with. So from a fit point of view, I think the OpenFit 2 Plus, I've had similar issues or question marks over that fit compared with the OpenFit. The OpenFit 2 has been very good overall, and I think from a comfort point of view, very comfortable earbuds to wear overall.
So the fit for me in both of these headphones is really good. I found it to be really, really comfortable. They're quite unobtrusive. You put them on and you sort of forget that they're there. I remember when I first started using the OpenFits that I was a little bit worried about using them because I thought that they might drop off and I wouldn't know where they are. When you use bone conduction wraparound headphones, I always put them around my neck, and you know that they're safe with these. I always think, because you can barely notice them on the ears, that I'm a bit worried I'm going to lose them. But they're really, really comfortable. I've had no issues at all in either pair. I know there's been some updates to the material that's been used to cover these headphones, which makes them a little bit more comfortable to wear, makes them just hold on nicely without any movement or anything like that. So in all the runs that I've done in them, I found to be really, really comfortable. Definitely a big fan of the fit and the comfort level of them.
Onto the more intricate design details, and the decision to add a button to handle most of the interactions on these headphones is a real positive. The touch panels that you get on some of them can be a bit fiddly. They're prone to being triggered by things like sweat and rain, wind and whatnot. So this now cuts that out, it avoids that. I'm not a huge fiddler with controls on the move anyway. I tend to whack my tunes up, whack them on, turn them up to 11, and I just leave the EDM to work its motivational magic. But the additions of buttons here makes things like sort of skipping tracks, changing the volume levels, all of that much easier on the move. You also don't have that worry that you're going to tug them out of your ears because they're fixed in place. You can also customize the controls for clicks and holds. The options are a bit limited, but I like that it keeps everything nice and simple. You know, for my easily befuddled brain, there aren't too many choices here. So no real complaints on the controls. There is one thing that comes, which is like a form factor that prevents these, but the charging case isn't as compact or pocket or run belt or running vest friendly as some of the regular in-ear buds or the clip-on buds that you get now. I do know that this is just part of the fact that you've got that big loop that comes on these, so in terms of the size, you almost have to have a case that's going to sit like this and make them able to charge. So it's not necessarily something that Shokz can get around, it's just the size and the build of the headphones. But that is something that's different to in-ear buds, which you're able to have a sort of more compact case. It's not going to be so much of a problem if you've got a bigger vest on, maybe doing multi-days, but for something like a running vest or a small pocket for sort of shorts or a shorts built-in run belt, that larger case does make a little bit of a difference. But the fact that the case isn't IP rated, so it's not water protected, I think isn't ideal. That does worry me a little bit. That means you have to sort of find a waterproof pocket, or you're going to have to be putting this inside something if you're worried about running in heavy rain. That is one thing to take into account.
In terms of controls, all very good here on the OpenFit 2 and the OpenFit 2 Plus. Exactly the same. It's a mixture of physical and touch controls, but it's very much an emphasis on using the physical controls. The touch controls that are available here are just used to summon your smart assistant, but everything else is kind of assigned to these kind of physical buttons that you have on each of the earbuds. Now, the touch controls are pretty good on the OpenFit, a good example of them, but these are so much better for running. These are controls that will let you kind of play and pause audio very easily, kind of handle calls, and I really like the fact that you can kind of hold and press down on those buttons to kind of increase and decrease volume. So this is definitely a step in the right direction for Shokz in terms of adding controls. Doesn't add anything in terms of the kind of overall weight and the balance of the weight of these earbuds, and they just work a lot better, and they're a lot easier to use when you're out running at a mixture of paces.
The design of the OpenFit 2s and OpenFit 2 Pluses I really like, and that's mainly down to the button. The button is really important for runners because it means that you can change things easily. When you've got sweaty hands, it can be very, very difficult, and I hate using touchpads on headphones when I'm running. It normally means I have to stop and get it right, and sometimes I have to take out my phone because my fingers are too sweaty to use it. So the button is really, really good. It works really well. I've had no issues when using the button clicks, because if you use different number of clicks, you can do different things with them. You can edit that within the app as well. But the button is the biggest plus point for me with these, especially over the previous versions. But also the overall design is really good as well. It's nice and comfortable. They look really nice. They feel really nice. And I also think the carry case is a really nice little carry case as well. So yeah, definitely a big fan of the design, especially down to that button.
So when it comes to the design of the two sets of headphones here, like I said, the fit's been really good for me, and I'm also a big fan of the new controls being an actual button as opposed to just a touch panel, which it was on the original Shokz OpenFit. In general, I just much prefer a button, especially for running, but really in all other scenarios as well. It's just easier to hit a button. It's much more reliable. Like, you can customize the controls here for the 1, 2, and 3 clicks, and then a hold control, which I use for volume up and down. And I just never had a problem using those on the run, even during the winter when I was testing the original OpenFit 2 when they came over, and I was wearing gloves for lots of runs, and touch panels are just pretty useless with gloves. So definitely a lot better to have a button on there, and I found the controls nice and reliable for using during my runs and other workouts.
So in terms of sound, now I'm someone that does care about sound quality, and I think when you are spending near £200, $200 for a set of earbuds, you do have certain expectations. You do have to kind of temper those expectations with the open ear earbuds, because you're not going to get the best level of sound quality against in-ear buds, kind of over-ear headphones. You have to accept that. You have to accept the kind of audio leakage that you are invariably going to get. But I would say that with the original OpenFit, I quite enjoyed the sound. I didn't think it was the most balanced or the clearest sounding kind of open ear kind of performance. I do think there's some improvements with the Fit 2 and the Fit 2 Plus. I think it's still very enjoyable, still works for most kind of genres of music, works well for audio, books and podcasts. There's definitely a pickup in volume, and I think that helps in terms of when you are kind of using them, kind of running near busier roads, kind of windy, blustery conditions. I didn't feel like those kind of exterior sounds are really cutting into the sound performance you're getting here. I still think that it could do a little bit more on that balance front and also that clarity, and that's something I saw kind of when you're using it for calls as well. I do think that if you kind of make use of the EQ presets, that does help to kind of improve things for certain types of music, so it is worth playing around with those in the companion app. On the OpenFit 2 Plus, you have that Dolby audio mode, which gives you that kind of immersive spatial audio kind of experience. Now, I do think that is better suited for watching films and video. And I have found when I've used it for kind of listening to music, it maybe raises the feeling and the soundstage of the audio, but I think it kind of emphasizes that kind of unbalanced sound that you do get, and the bass performance just feels a little bit kind of like it's being kind of overemphasized, and I think it kind of ruins the rest of the sound profile. So I think unless you're using these earbuds to kind of run on a treadmill and you're watching a film, maybe you'll get some benefits there. But I do think there's a question mark of whether these are necessary or worthwhile and open ear earbuds. When you want that immersive experience, you do need a kind of very good seal. So overall, very enjoyable sound. Do I think it's hugely better than the OpenFit? Not by a huge amount, but maybe a little bit, but I do still think there's some areas I would like to see improved going forward.
So the sound is the big thing with both of these headphones, and both are an upgrade on the original OpenFits and OpenFit Air. I actually said with those that I did think those were a little bit louder than bone conduction headphones or the Open Run headphones that you can, and Open Run Pros. I always found that there was just a little bit more loudness I could get out of these. There's a negative side to that, which I think the awareness is slightly less than you get on bone conduction headphones, that especially ones that Shokz do. But the sound quality on these two new versions is really, really good. It's definitely a bit louder, and when you whack that Dolby on the OpenFit 2 Plus, you really notice a difference in it. It does have some different sound profiles that you can use within the app, and that does make a big difference as well. What I have found is that if you're listening to them really loud and you're playing around with the equalizer settings, I used bass and Dolby on the OpenFit 2 Plus. I did find it was a little bit too bassy, and I had to take it off. So there's a lot of sound in these, but I think there is a max limit to what you can listen to without it getting a little bit distorted. But the sound is really, really good. I listened to a podcast earlier on it. I listened to a lot of dance music on it, and I've been impressed by both of them. But there's definitely a big sound upgrade when you get the OpenFit 2 Plus for me.
So I tested the OpenFit 2 originally at the start of the year when they launched in the US, and I was really impressed by the sound quality. I definitely thought it was an upgrade on the original Shokz OpenFit, which I thought weren't that much better than the OpenFit Air, which were a lot cheaper, so we recommended going for the OpenFit Air in general. I think with the OpenFit 2, you are getting an upgrade in sound quality on the OpenFit Air. You've got crisper, more detailed sound, more powerful sound at the bottom end. You can customize it as well in the partner app and play with the EQ a little bit, and this kind of new setup with two speakers, one for the lows and one for the mids and the highs, I think worked well. I think for open headphones, they're among the best I had tested at the time. I think the best in this category are the Bose Ultra Open Earbuds, which I think sound the best of any open headphones. But yeah, I did enjoy listening to the OpenFit 2. They still could be drowned out a little bit though when I was in loud environments, when I'm running by a busy road or that kind of thing, or if you are using them for stuff like commuting and you're on trains, they're going to get drowned out. I wasn't too sure what to expect from the OpenFit 2 Plus, with the big upgrade on these buds being that you can use Dolby Audio. But when I did enable it, I was actually surprised how big a difference it made. made. Like if you're listening to music in quieter environments, like in the office and that kind of thing, you will notice, I think, a pretty big upgrade in the sound quality. You just get a bigger soundscape with the OpenFit 2 Plus in the Dolby mode. You get even more powerful sound. You get crisper, clearer stuff. Everything that was good about the OpenFit 2 and upgrade on the original OpenFit is upgraded again on the OpenFit 2 Plus for me. I've also found them louder. So I used them for workouts by busy roads, and they're just a little bit more audible than the OpenFit 2 for me. I don't know if that's going to change with updates and stuff like that, but yeah, I thought they were louder, and I thought the sound was more impressive on the OpenFit 2 Plus, and I was a little bit surprised at the level of the upgrade you're getting here. So if you are looking at the two buds and wondering if the OpenFit 2 Plus's Dolby audio is going to make a significant difference, I do think it does.
On to sound then, and I always like to fess up here in this section. I'm not a golden-eared audiophile, so my bar for sound quality may well be a bit lower than some people's. If it's full enough, rich enough and loud enough, I'm happy on the run. And I think both the OpenFit 2 and the OpenFit 2 Plus definitely fulfill that brief, and they do it with a notable improvement over the previous generation Shokz open style headphones. The new speaker setup adds something, and the Dolby audio powers that distinguish the OpenFit 2 Plus from the OpenFit 2 I found really do offer an even bigger upgrade with more clarity and a more engulfing kind of sort of soundscape, if you want to call it that, more engulfing sort of all over sort of sound. You're still not getting that kind of full cocooning that you'll get from in-ear buds where everything's sort of blocked out and it's just you and the audio. So the noisiest roads and the louder environments still kind of overpower these. You get slightly less of that on the OpenFit 2 Plus, and neither cope completely with some of the London Underground lines that I used them on, but that's in part the open ear kind of form rather than the headphones themselves. Other models in this kind of design also struggle. The ability to switch sound and EQ presets in the app I do really like as well. I like that you can create custom profiles too. That's another important thing here. It's some of the things that some of the cheaper versions of the open ear or the clip-ons don't offer that level of sort of features and customization, so I like that here as well.
So the battery life is very, very good. I have used them quite a lot since my first charge. I haven't actually charged them up since I've started using them, and I've done a lot of dog walking, a lot of running in it, and neither has run out. I'm probably getting close to the hours that you would expect from those, but because the charging case has so much charge in it, as well as quite a lot within the headphones, you've got a lot of battery life to play with. So it's really impressive battery life on both counts because they're pretty much the same.
Battery life is the same on both these buds, and it's really good. I think 11 hours on the buds themselves is really impressive. That's quite long lasting for sure, and it's going to see you through quite a lot of workouts or very long workouts without needing to put them in the case. And the case takes up to 48 hours. So again, you are looking at, I think, weeks of workouts, and even if you're using them for everything, for use in the office as well, you are going to go a fairly long period without needing to plug anything in, or in the case of the OpenFit 2 Plus, put them on a wireless charging pad, which is one of the other upgrades you get here. I mean, I don't know why that's not on the standard OpenFit 2. I think it should be. They should both be wirelessly chargeable if that's something you're into. But yeah, the actual battery life for me lived up to those numbers pretty well during testing. Like, unless I had the volume absolutely crammed to the max during all the time I was using them, I was seeing battery loss that tallied up with those overall numbers. So it's certainly pretty good battery life. That is a good feature on these headphones. You are going to get a nice long amount of use of them, even if you plan to take them on some very long, epic ultra marathon style events, or just use them regularly for runs and other stuff. You're not going to have to charge them too often.
Then when it comes to battery life, I'm very much here for the extra staying power that's now packed into the official runtime battery life versus what we got on the OpenFit Air and the OpenFit. That jump, on paper at least, that rises from 6 or 7 hours on those buds up to 11 hours on the buds here, and doubles from 24 to 48 in the charging case, is excellent. Now, unless you're going to pump music non-stop for the whole race, that's going to now give you enough juice on the buds itself to cover a 100k ultra for most people. If you're listening in little shits and spurts. Anyway, that big extra backup in the case is even bigger as a win as well for that. That drastically reduces how often you're going to need to stick the case on charge. And if you're porting it on an ultra, you're going to be covered for most races. Even with heavy use between runs, you're only going to need to charge everything here every couple of weeks, which is excellent for lazy chargers like me, as I said, or if you're doing a multi-day ultra, that really unlocks kind of headphone usage from this case, which is kind of lightweight if you're thinking about multi-day. Now, in testing, both drained a bit faster than the Shokz listed staying power, but that tends to be because I'm pumping them out top whack, as I mentioned, often with a bass boost on. If you drop the volume down a bit more so it's not deafening you or ruining your long-term hearing, you can probably get the listed runtime out of these. For me, this is one of the most compelling selling points of the two new models, and the battery life here is a really solid upgrade.
So battery life, definitely positives here. I think when the OpenFit launched and you looked at those battery numbers compared to other Shokz headphones and I think other open-ear earbuds, it was a little bit on the low side. Definitely good enough, I think, for most people, but I think in terms of, factoring that when you particularly with open-ear buds, when you're kind of listening at pretty loud volumes, making use of those kind of EQ presets, it does seem to kind of knock the battery life a little bit more. Now, you are playing with kind of 11 hours here, kind of listening time. I have found kind of an hour's worth of listening on both of these earbuds. It's seen a drop of 10%. That would be kind of roughly 10 hours, so maybe an hour short of those 11 hours, but that's definitely a big improvement on the OpenFit and puts it more in line with the kind of Shokz bone conduction headphones, things like the Open Run Pro, where they are kind of hitting those double-digit kind of battery numbers. And you are seeing that here on the OpenFit 2 and the OpenFit 2 Plus. The OpenFit 2 Plus also has that wireless charging, so for added convenience, but that's a feature that you are going to have to pay a little bit more for, but I've used it with a couple of wireless chargers and it's worked absolutely fine. So battery life, definitely improvement from the OpenFit, and it definitely feels like it holds that battery a lot better, even at those louder volumes.
So verdict, I think the OpenFit 2 and the OpenFit 2 Plus are definitely among the best open headphones out there. I think for me, the OpenFit 2 Plus are worth the little extra you have to pay for them for the upgrade in sound quality. I'm not so fussed about the wireless charging. It's not something I use that often, and you don't have to charge these headphones that often anyway. But yeah, they're right up there, I think, with the best open headphones on the market for fit, comfort, controls, battery life, sound quality. I think they're all really impressive. As I mentioned before, the Bose Open Ultra earbuds I think do still sound better. I think they're the best sounding open buds, but the difference is not huge, especially compared to the OpenFit 2 Plus, and at full price the Bose Ultra Open earbuds are very expensive and a lot more expensive than these headphones. You can still look at cheaper open headphones like the OpenFit Air. There are some other good ones from brands like One More or the Nank Ultra clip-on headphones that will come in under £100, and they offer pretty good sound quality, but not as impressive as on the OpenFit 2, I would say, or OpenFit 2 Plus. I think the controls here are also very good. The battery life's very good. They're just really good on all fronts for me, as long as the fit works for you, as it has done for me. Like, I found the fit to be really secure and comfortable on all my runs. So yeah, I do think they're really good headphones, and like I say, I would probably pay the extra and get the OpenFit 2 Plus for that upgrade in sound quality. It's a bit annoying that there are two headphones out that are so similar in price and features in general. I think there should just be one model here that has the Dolby audio and the wireless charging. I think having such a small difference in price, and also a little bit annoying that they launched the OpenFit 2 first, and I think they were available in the US, so people could have bought those and now seen the OpenFit 2 Plus and been a bit like, I would have probably bought those if I had the choice at the time. But yeah, two really good sets of headphones. I do think the OpenFit 2 Plus are worth the upgrade, like I said, but both are really good. And if you're not too fussed about sound quality, you can make a little saving on the OpenFit 2, and you're still getting really good sound quality for open headphones and pretty much all the other key features that you're getting on the OpenFit 2 Plus, minus that wireless charging.
Verdict then, and for me, the Shokz OpenFit and OpenFit 2 Plus drop in comfortably amongst the best open headphones that you're going to find on the market. Lots of good things here: good fit, good comfort, simple and reactive controls, competitive battery life, some of the better sound quality for this type of headphones as well. It's a bit odd that there are two models that are so closely matched on price and not too much to choose them on features, but these are both good quality open ear options. I still personally prefer in-ear buds for the sound quality and the kick in the pants loudness that you get from those, but if you're looking for that mix of awareness with more encompassing sound than you get from regular bone conductors, these sort of form factors and these two particular sets of headphones specifically do a very good job. They are a good step up from the previous generation OpenFit. That battery life boost is a real standout for me, as I mentioned, particularly the leap from 24 to 48 hours in the case. When it comes to choosing between the OpenFit 2 and the OpenFit 2 Plus, for me, I'm not all that bothered by wireless charging. That wouldn't be something that would drive me to upgrade, but I think the sound is notably boosted on the OpenFit 2 Plus, and that's probably worth what is essentially quite a small upgrade. But if, like me, wireless charging isn't important and the budget is a little bit tighter, you want to save yourself a bit, you're still going to get a good performance across sound, battery life, the similar fit and design from the on the OpenFit 2. So you're not sacrificing a huge amount. Now, if you're looking for a much cheaper alternative, I think the Amazfit Up clip style are a bit of a steal. The sound isn't as good as you're going to get here. The battery life is much shorter and there's much fewer kind of features overall, but you can pick those up for £40. So if you're looking for something that's really cheap, does a job, that is a good option.
So my verdict on the Shokz OpenFit 2 and OpenFit 2 Plus, I do think these are an upgrade on the OpenFit in a few key areas. I think the first one being you are getting much better controls for running. I think you are getting slightly better volume as well, generally still very enjoyable sound overall, and that customization that's available as well. And you are getting better battery life as well. If I'm looking at the OpenFit 2, OpenFit 2 Plus, I would be going for the OpenFit 2 simply because I think, you're paying extra for that Dolby audio mode, which I don't think is massively useful if you're listening or mainly using these to listen to music when you're running. Also, the wireless charging, unless you've got wireless chargers, then, outside of that, it's not really worth picking up. And the battery life is very good, and the charging setup is very good on the OpenFit 2 already. I think if you look at it from the Shokz range, they are very expensive. Still there, look at the Shokz range. It is one of its most expensive set of earbuds, or most expensive set of headphones. I think from a value point of view, I would probably still be going, if you're sold an open ear earbuds, I would be going for the Shokz OpenFit Air. I think from a running perspective, I much prefer the fit of those earbuds, and I feel they're more reliable for running. It might not match the OpenFit 2 and OpenFit 2 Plus in terms of controls, but I do think the sound is good enough, the battery life feels good enough as well, and I feel more confident running and racing with those earbuds compared to these. Now, if we're looking outside the Shokz range, I think that it is, as I said, I talked about the sound quality. I think the sound quality point of view, I think you can get better balance and clarity. I think if you look at the Sony Link Buds Open, which are £150, so just slightly less, I think the balance of sound is a lot better. I think the Bose Ultra Open have a better overall sound profile as well. What I will say is with the Bose Ultra Open, obviously more expensive, I would also say that I was not massively convinced by the fit of those, the secureness of the fit on those earbuds, and I have found them, they've fallen out in races and generally just kind of doing runs with them. The Sony Link Buds Open, I know Nick didn't absolutely love the fit, but I've got on really well with the fit. The controls maybe aren't as well implemented as they are on the Shokz, but I do think the sound quality is good, the battery life is good, and I've enjoyed the kind of more discreet form factor of those for a little bit less money. So yeah, absolutely, the Shokz OpenFit 2 are a good kind of another expensive premium option for runners, but if it was my money and I was sticking in the Shokz range, I would be still going for the OpenFit Air, which sits at around kind of £94. Or I'd be looking outside of Shokz, and I'd be looking at the Sony Link Buds Open, which are just slightly less than the OpenFit 2, and I think offer better overall sound and a good overall package that I would feel more confident running and racing with.
So my verdict on both of these headphones, I'm impressed by both of them, and luckily I got to test both of them at the same time, and that's where you really notice the slight difference that you get with the addition of the Dolby on the OpenFit 2 Plus. Does make the sound louder, does make it a little bit more immersive, I would say, and definitely is worth the additional cost, I think, for paying for the more expensive version, because it's not a massive increase, but it is a noticeable difference in the sound quality. But both of them I'm pretty impressed with. I think if the OpenFit 2s were considerably cheaper than the OpenFit 2 Plus, it would be an easy argument to say get the OpenFit 2s. But because there's not much of a price difference, I would actually say just fork out the extra cash to get the Dolby on the OpenFit 2 Pluses, because it does make a difference, especially on louder streets and things like that. It gives you a little bit more oomph, and it's probably worth having just for those times where it's going to be a bit loud. Maybe even if you're not running, maybe if you're using them to walk around London or anything like that, it will make a bit of a difference. What I would say about them is I think they're really solid for runners. I've had no issues. I've raced in both of these now, or parked in both of these at my max pace, and they've worked really, really well. Sound quality has been really good. The only thing I would say when it comes to looking at alternatives is that I do think there's a trade-off with these and more conventional bone conduction headphones like the Shokz Open Runs and Open Run Pros. I do think you lose a little bit of awareness in these because of the way that the sound's piped into them. I think you do lack a little bit of the ambient awareness that you get from the bone conduction ones. So that's it from us on this video covering the Shokz OpenFit 2s and the OpenFit 2 Plus. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click that little bell. And if you get a catch me below, you can find it to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.